Hey folks, so what I wanted to do today is take a few minutes and go through the Doom of Mymeara and talk a little bit about the various different formations that are available within the book. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth into these because you're still going to have to get the book. And if you're a serious Eldar player, I really highly recommend getting it because it not only complements the existing Craftworld codex, it also enhances some of the existing Eldar units found within the book too. And you can kind of use formations from either of them to build out your battle host. So, speaking of battle hosts, let's take a look at them. I'm going to have some of these things here just to kind of help me out a little bit and illustrate what we're talking about. I'm also going to be referring to my notes, so I might look down. I'm sorry, I'm just not 100% familiar with these yet. So, taking a look at the first one, which is the Mymeara Guardian Battle Host. It's a core choice, and it plays off of what the Pale Court Battle Host does, but it's a little bit more set in what it is. And we'll take a look at exactly what that means in a moment. So you first start off with a Farseer or Farseer Bel Aneth, and that is a very offensive Farseer because you can get like some really neat upgrades. One of them I think is like a fusion gun or something like that. I'll take a look at these and probably review the book in a little bit more detail a little bit later on, but right now we're just focusing on the formations here. I think you'd also get some very offensive psychic abilities that you wouldn't normally get within the options of a standard Farseer. You also get your standard 3 Guardian Defenders and 0 to 1 Warlocks or Warlock Council. Now, special rules, you've got Forgotten Remnants, and what's neat is Forgotten Remnants allows you to add various different items to the actual formation. You can also enhance some of the units that are in the formation and swap them out. This one here has On Lonely Paths and Fortress of Discipline. Now, what that means is you get 1 to 3 Rangers and 1 to 3 Warwalkers or Wasp Assault units, which are actually really cool. You actually start getting into some of the Forge World units as you get into these formations, and it's got some really cool options. So, taking a look at the actual Pale Court Battle Host. Now, this here is where you actually get to represent the smaller craft worlds, the ones that might have limited access to things or have unique abilities in comparison to some of the others. So you're going to start off with your Farseer, your 3 Guardian Defenders, and 0 to 1 Warlock Council. You're also going to have a rule called Forgotten Remnants, kind of like the previous one, but they're not selected for you. You can actually go in and choose, you may choose 1 to 2 of these options down here. Stuff like taking your Guardian Defenders and swapping them out for Storm Guardians. And what's really cool about the Storm Guardians now is all Storm Guardians models that score 6 on any to hit roll in the first turn of any assault gain +1 to their strength when resolving their attack. So it kind of buffs them up a little bit. Another one would be Swift to Anger. This one's really neat too, where the battle host must include 1 to 3 units of Vipers or a single unit of Hornets. And any units of Vipers or Hornets get the outflank special rule that are part of the formation. What is even cooler is you can re-roll failed reserve rolls. So there's all these different options within here to make your battle host unique and pretty potent too. And I like how it buffs up some of the units that might not necessarily be used by regular Craftworld players because there's better units out there. Next is let's see here, our command choice. So this command choice is 1 Wraithseer and 1 to 3 Wraith Blades. There aren't any restrictions, and one of the special rules is you can roll 2d6 and on the Warlord table and choose the one that you want, and then bound to serve basically any Wraith Blades within the formation, reroll misses and close combat attacks that roll a 1, so you can re-roll those, which is actually kind of nice. Next is the Shadow Spectre Shrine. I haven't played a lot with the Shadow Spectres. I've tested a little bit with them, but I really haven't gone in depth into them and played a lot of games. They're nice, but I think there's some better units out there. For the most part, you get this formation. You take 3 of them. The restriction is one of them has to be a warlock. You get an additional d6 to roll for your thrust moves. You get a reroll failed morale checks and pinning checks and fear tests, which is kind of cool. Another nice thing is a spectral blade. Now, there's a lot of fearless stuff within 40k right now, but for those units that are not, all enemy and models within 12 inches of the Exarch that are part of this formation must re-roll successful fear tests. So that's kind of neat. Next one is the Kane's Hawk Squadron. So this is where your Nightwings really shine within this formation. Usually you can only take 1 to 2 within a squadron, but this one allows you to take 2 to 3 Nightwings. And all the Nightwings that are bought within this are considered part of the squadron, so all their upgrades have to be the same. So that's the only restriction. What's really cool is one of their special abilities is you choose one of their weapons, and that weapon ignores cover saves. The other one is if a flyer comes in, you can nominate that flyer as your target, and you can re-roll your reserve rolls, which is kind of cool. Coming in as if they're, flying up high, getting ready to come in and swoop down on those enemy flyers that are coming in, which is kind of cool. Next is the Fires of the Phoenix. So this has to do with the Phoenix bombers. So the only restriction is all upgrades have to be the same. It's as if they're part of a squadron. And their special rule is for shooting attacks against the same non-flyer unit, the bombers can roll failed to hit and wound rolls of 1. The Fist of Vol, which is kind of cool, this is 2 to 3 Warp Hunters, and the only restriction, of course, is all Warp Hunters bought. They're, as part of this formation, they're considered part of a squadron, so all the upgrades have to be the same across the board. Their special rule, which is kind of neat, it basically enhances their D weapons. It's really gross. So multiple Warp Hunters can choose to forfeit their individual shooting attack in order to make a single Warp Breach attack. So it's kind of like the fire prisms where they used to shoot into each other to create an even more devastating blast. This one here, you get different additions like Ordnance 1 if you have 2 Warp Hunters that are together. It's like a range of 72 inches, strength D, AP2, and it's Ordnance Large Blast 5 inches, and it's twin linked. You get 3 of these guys together, 72 inches D, AP2, Ordnance 1, Massive Blast, so it's a 7-inch template, and it's twin linked. Oof, that's pretty crazy. Another one is, let's see here, the Hornet Swarm. So you're 3 to 6 Hornets. They're all part of a squadron, basically. So you have to make sure all of your upgrades are the same. Swift Assault. So on the turn in which that the squadron actually enters play, from reserve, it may use the Jinx special rule and fire all weapons at full ballistic skill. It's basically as long as the squadron doesn't also move flat out, which in which case the restrictions of the skimmer still apply. So if they still do that, they're still going to be snap firing. There's also Death Kennel, and basically what that does is when rolling to bring the Hornet Squadron into play from reserves, you need to roll a 2+ basically. As long as the controlled players achieve at least one primary or secondary objective in the previous turn. So it's kind of cool. So next one is the Wasp Phalanx, and that's 3 to 6 Wasps, and there aren't any restrictions on this one. The Hornet one, of course, they're all part of a squadron, so you need to make sure that they have the same upgrades across them. The Wasps get a special rule called Cloud Breakers, and on any turn in which the Phalanx is deployed onto the table using Deep Strike special rule, it can re-roll any failed power field saves, and all of its shooting attacks gain twin linked and the pinning special rule. So again, there's a lot of fearless units out there, but if you can nail a few that aren't fearless, that pinning rule can kind of help out. Now, this is one I kind of like because I have my Scorpion, and I like the idea of being able to use it as an actual formation. So I can start to attach it to different units that might, different armies I might not have been able to use it with before. So I'm kind of excited about this one. So some of the special rules are kind of neat, and one's a big detriment. So you go one Cobra or one Scorpion, super heavy tank. There aren't any restrictions, but the special rule is Pride of the Host. So all models that are if all the models in this formation are destroyed, so you lose your super heavy, the enemy player gets a victory point. Icon of Glory, so any models that are falling back and get within 6 inches of this tank, they can re-roll the regrouping tests. So it's kind of nice. You have this big units flying around the table, and you have some units falling back, scooch a little bit closer to them so you can get a re-roll to kind of get them back into the fight. Sky Hunter formation is kind of neat, and this is where the links come into play, and they get pretty cool. You can have 1 to 3 links, and the only restriction is, of course, they're part of the same. Everything in the formation has to have the same upgrades. Their special rule is on Wings of Flame, and when they deploy into the table using the Deep Strike special rule, the squadron gets a 4+ cover save until the start of the controlling player's next turn. So they're a little bit more defensive when they first come in. Skyweaver's Echelon, which is kind of neat. These guys, it's basically 1 Vampire Raider and Autarch, 1 Storm Guardian or Guardian Defender unit, and then Vol's Wraith Battery. Restrictions is all non-vehicles in the formation must begin embarked in the Vampire Raider, and then of course the formation may not include more Vol's Wraith support batteries than it does Guardian Defenders. The special rule is Orbital Reserve, so on the turn in which the unit chooses as part of its formation disembarks from the Vampire Raider, the Vampire Raider gains Assault Vehicle special rule, which is kind of neat. You come in there, they get out, and they could actually assault. That'd be pretty awesome. And then, of course, Troop Bay refit. The Vampire Hunter is taken as part of this formation, may transport artillery models with the crew using a single transport capacity point, and each artillery model using up to 3 transport capacity points. So you really got to take a look at the transport capacity of the Vampire Raider and see and kind of balance out how much you're going to be taking as a part of that. Next thing is the Wraith Titans, and this is where we get into something like a Revenant Titan or a Phantom Titan. You have to take 1 and 0 to 2 Wraith Knights. So what's really cool is this special, there's no restrictions on the formation, but when it comes to close support, so long as the Wraith Knight, so long as a Wraith Knight is chosen as part of the formation within 6 inches of the Titan, also chooses as part of this formation, any enemy unit in which declares a charge, the Elder Titan must instead target the Wraith Knight with their charge. So basically they're going into the Titan, they're going to try and attack the Revenant or the Phantom. They have to go for the Wraith Knight instead. It's kind of like they're intervening, which is kind of cool. It makes your Titan a little bit more defensive. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the formations. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you guys a little bit about that. I hope you guys found it helpful and interesting. And I do look forward to hearing your feedback. What's your favorite formation? How would you guys make this work with your current builds? And are you going to pick up the book too? Because I really recommend it. So keep an eye out. I'll talk a little bit about more formations in the future. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.